Heard from her.
Yeah, you could, but you better. I know when I go to buy anything now, I buy just exactly what I need. But the next time I go,
Not. And it's,
yeah.
find out when to get the weeds on something. That's not goes in line with that email you and I got today.
Well, no, it's that.
This must have some changes. Well, these are the ones that they emailed to us. Did you get my email? Did it help?
Yeah.
I mean, I figured I may as well share what I learned.
Appreciated the
Yeah, let's go buy another one. The whole toolbox.
No TV tonight. Okay, everyone, welcome to the City Council meeting, September 7th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. We have an invocation by Pastor Deerdorf, I believe. There we go.
Gracious God and Father, as you look down upon heaven, on us from heaven, we sometimes wonder if you shake your head, but no, we know you love us, and even though we make a mess of things at times, we know you're still in control and can lead and guide and do that which is pleasing to you and for our greatest benefit. We ask that wisdom and guidance upon those who are meeting here tonight, those who lead, those who serve, those who look to the benefit of our community. We ask that you would grant good decisions and grant good insight, that we may do that which best serves the people that you have blessed us to be servants of. We ask your continual blessing upon those who work in the healthcare field in this time of pandemic. We ask your protection, your holy angels around those who work in fire, police, rescue, and armed forces around the globe. We are dependent upon you. Help us remember that, because you are for us and we trust in you. So we commit all things to your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Roll call, please.
Isley,
Here.
Tryon.
Here.
Bowles.
Here.
Lucas.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
Baker. Woods.
Thank you. Open Meetings Act. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the state of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Meeting procedure. The public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please identify yourself by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the mayor and limit remarks to 3 minutes or less. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. Consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. Clear my throat before this one. Number 1, approve minutes of August 17, 2021. Number 2, place on file treasurer's report for July 2021. Number 3, approve the application by Fraternal Order of Eagles number 2839 for a special designated license on October 23, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. at the Dean and Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for the Pheasants Forever fundraiser. Number 4, send the application of Christine Vauchel as liquor license manager at the Fraternal Order of Eagles number 2839 located at 620 North Chestnut to the Liquor Control Commission with no recommendation. Number 5, send the application of Kinsey Bosselman as liquor license manager at Pump and Pantry number 39 located at 2601 Eagles Wing Drive to the Liquor Control Commission with no recommendation. Number 6, send the application of Dinyar Anklasari as liquor license manager at Canteen Bar and Grill located at 2102 South Jeffers Street to the Liquor Control Commission with no recommendation. Number 7, approve the reappointment of Jeff Bain for a first term to the Planning Commission. Number 8, approve the reappointment of David Fudge for a first term to the Planning Commission. Number 9, approve the reappointment of Angie Forbes for a first term to the Planning Commission. Number 10, approve the appointment of Robbie Stefka as an alternate member of the North Platte Board of Adjustment.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion Nisley, second Garrick. Calling the question, please vote. The consent agenda is approved. Moving on to our long agenda for tonight. It's a joke, everyone. We will have another meeting at 6:30 tonight, statutory requirement to review the budget, so there's likely to be an interval in between. Maybe not, but it's likely. Moving on to number 11. Approve the resolution for placement of a stop sign located westbound on William Avenue and Oak Street. We would need a motion to.
I move to approve the resolution for the placement of a stop sign located westbound on William Avenue at Oak Street.
Second.
Motion Garrick, second Lucas. We do have Brent here if anyone has any discussion or questions on this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Lucas, you have the floor.
I just share with the group that I was actually contacted by a resident near there who strongly encouraged us to approve that stop sign, so.
Mr. Carmen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have we had an unusually high incidence of accidents at that intersection?
Mr. Berklam, would you fill us in?
I just wondered what prompted that. Perhaps your friend did, I don't know. But
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Carmen, this is the new street that the hospital just finished, William, going from Oak to Ash. So this street hasn't even been opened yet, but all of Oak Street in that area going from the hospital north up to Phillip, that's a collector street. All the side streets coming off the side streets onto Oak have stop signs. So we're anticipating, as busy as that is, that we need to have a stop sign just like the other side streets in that area coming onto Oak Street. So there hasn't been any accidents, thankfully, just because that street at that spot hasn't been opened yet. But that's the background for it.
thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tran, you have the floor.
Thank you. I travel that street, and it would only make sense to have a stop sign there. I mean, it would be almost impossible not to have one there, in my mind.
Other discussion? Seeing none, calling the question on number 11, please. Number 11 passes. There will be a stop sign. Next, we have a public hearing to consider action on a recommendation by the City of North Platte Planning Commission on an application by MRN Properties LLC for a conditional use permit to allow RV spaces in a mobile home park located in an A1 agricultural district located at 4004 West 14th Street. So this is a public hearing. Judy, would you give us a little background, please, on what we're doing here, or what we're contemplating?
Mayor, City Councilman. This is just a request that's an already existing mobile home park. It is a request to utilize 4 spaces and allocate those for RV parking purposes. As you'll see on the proposed motion, the City Planning Commission felt that it was pertinent to add to the recreational vehicle spaces that they would only be allowed there for no longer than 1 year. Then they would have to at least move spaces. The intent of RVs is not permanent dwelling, it is temporary, so that was kind of the intent there. There is a little bit of a drawing on, I believe maybe the second or third page that kind of shows the location of what those RV parks would be. In the past, we have approved one of these on a East Fifth Street location, I believe, and we have denied one of these on East Second location, I believe, was the one that was denied. So we do, kind of have, yes, we do that sometimes, but it is definitely on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
And the applicant is here also if you have any questions for him.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing. If anyone else would like to make a comment or has a question, anyone in the audience? Going once, going twice. Now would be a good time for a motion to end the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, a motion to close public hearing by Mr. Lucas, second by Mr. Garrick. Now, the council will consider number 12, an action on a recommendation by the City of North Platte Planning Commission, an application by MRN Properties LLC for a conditional use permit to allow RV spaces in a mobile home park located in an A-1 agricultural district located at 4004 West 14th Street. Oops, I jumped the gun, didn't I? Vote to close the meeting, I'm sorry. Close the public hearing, sorry. That's what happens when I don't look at the screen. Okay, the public hearing is now closed, even though I got ahead of myself. Now we will consider, I'm not going to read it again because I think everybody knows what we're considering, but we're considering number 12, which is the application that we just discussed in the public hearing. Council, do you have any, let's see, first we would need a motion to continue.
I move that we find the request for a conditional use permit to 4 RV spaces in a mobile home park located in an A1 agricultural district at 4004 West 14th Street meets the minimum standards stated in the North Platte Code of Ordinances, Section 156.322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the condition that a recreational vehicle shall not be parked in any one rental space for more than 1 year, and that all elements of the application are complied with no conditions, but based upon the following factual findings. 1, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. The use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. 3, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. 4, the use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. 5, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Motion Nisley, second Lucas. Now, do we have any discussion on this issue, this question?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Lucas.
I need to see if I can call Judy back up for a couple questions on the permit. I wanted to understand, is this property under a conditional use permit today for the mobile home park, with it being in the A1? And then if so, do they end up operating with 2 conditional use permits for different purposes, or does it amend one of them, or how does that work?
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Lucas, this property has been in existence for an extremely long amount of time as a mobile home park. I could not tell you if they originally had a conditional use or if that property was allowed as a mobile home park years ago. So yes, mobile home parks would operate generally under a conditional use permit in an agricultural area. So if this did have a conditional use permit, then yes, they would operate under two separate conditional use permits. Accordingly, right now, we would call this a legal non-conforming use as a mobile home park in an ag district.
Yeah, and I was just wondering more technically on it, curious if that was the case of whether you'd have to go, whether you need to go back in that case and try to address the non-conforming portion of it in the conditional use permit or not as well. But I suppose then it'd be going back through the process potentially.
If we had known that they had an actual conditional use permit, what we probably would have requested was for them to amend the original conditional use permit, but where it's a legal non-conforming use and that did not exist, then we just go ahead and allow it as a legal non-conforming use, basically meaning it is good to go the way that it is, and then we add the conditional use to it. So that's kind of the philosophy behind it.
Okay. Thank you. My second question was the 1 year time frame. Would that be consistent or inconsistent with anything else like this that we've granted in the community as we've done that before? In other words, I don't have any issues with it. That seems like a good idea, but if we had one that was 6 months and one that was a year and one that was a year and a half or something, then we'd have some inconsistencies.
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Lucas, I would have to say we will have some inconsistencies. The one that was granted on East Fifth Street, the property owner at the time said, I will not allow them any longer than 6 months. And so he went ahead with that. This one, the property owner didn't offer up any time frame, so it was just something that the Planning Commission came up with, was the year. They didn't want to allow it any longer than a year. So there is an inconsistency there as far as what condition is put on which one.
Thank you.
Ms. Tryon, you have the floor.
Thank you. So a follow-up question to all of that is who monitors the time frame?
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Tryon, we expect the property owner or the manager to monitor the time frame. So if at any given time, if I went out to the one that was on East Fifth Street, they would have to provide me with documentation as to who was there, how long they stayed in those spaces. So with this, the property owner would have to provide my department, either myself or someone else, with documentation. If we ever got a complaint or ever had a concern, we would go out there and ask the property owner to give us the documentation as to whether or not those trailers were there.
And then are there any consequences? Probably not, other than move. Maybe, I don't know.
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Tryon. Yes, I mean, there's always recourse of action. Probably would end up with Terry Waite in his office. Could possibly end up going with revocation of the conditional use permit.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowles, you have the floor.
Judy, while you're up there. So I was on Planning Commission when we approved the West Fifth one. I've never followed up on it. How's it working out there?
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Voles, I have not received any complaints. I don't specifically go out on a monthly basis and track them down, but once we received a complaint, we would definitely act on it. Seems to be going fairly well. They don't, from what I have heard, they do not fill the spaces that they have available at the present moment.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Judy? I mean, she likes getting her steps in.
Mr. Mayor, as I think about it, I'm not going to propose any changes on that, but when the planning commission look at these, anything we could do to try to bring consistency on those, I think you're going to have more of these requests likely in the future. But maybe there's a project down the road, if you get so many of them, we could look to amend them all the same or something, but it would probably be nice to try to get to a standard. I don't know how you feel about that after all your years on the planning commission.
Agreed.
But it seems like you always get a few of them first before you get into rhythm on something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Mayor Kelleher, Councilman Lucas, at the last planning commission meeting, the planning commissioners actually requested RV park regulations to be looked at as adopting those. So once that happens, it's my thought that RVs would be in RV parks, mobile homes would be in mobile home parks. So hopefully that will happen, and that will get us on a more consistent basis.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Other discussion, council? Okay, seeing none, calling the question on number 12, please. Number 12 is approved. Number 13, approve claims.
Second.
Motion Carmen, second Nisley to approve the claims. Any discussion? Seeing none, calling the question on approving the claims. Claims are approved. Public agenda request. We request our city employees, we respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. This is the portion of the meeting that if anyone has something they would like the council to consider, we would be happy to let you come to the microphone, state who you are and what you would like us to consider. We will not consider it at this time, but we will put it on the agenda, on a future agenda for consideration. If you have anything, please come forward.
Mayor Kelleher and council. No worries, I don't have anything I want you to put on the agenda for next.
But Mr. Williams, we know who you are, but please tell us just for the record.
Oh, sorry, Doyce Williams, 1003 East B in North Platte. I thought this would be an appropriate time to publicly thank a member of our city staff for approaching my wife and I at the last city council meeting, which was something he didn't have to do, and opening his office at a later date to address concerns that we have about a slaughterhouse being built in close proximity, which he did. I wanted to thank Matt Kibben publicly for addressing our concerns. Make no mistake, we are still adamantly opposed to it, but I want to tell you thanks. You set our minds at ease on a few of the issues, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any other agenda request items? Hearing none.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Garrick, second, Mr. Vols. Calling the question. This meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene at 6:30 for the required public hearing on the budget, which is about 40 minutes from right now. Council, you may do what you want. Please return by 6:30.
You are going to run all the way home for that?
Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight.
I'll just take a nap.
If you're going to sit here and chat, please turn your mics off.
The reason I did was because it was, you know, yes. On there.
We have some ways that I think we've got a lot more working on it better as an organization.
Oh, okay, okay. Where's that at? Clearwater.
Excuse me, sir. Oh, and then this chair like this. You can hear.
So, yeah, okay. Now you wouldn't get a work permit on that. I don't know where coffee. 3.6-ish.
Terry's been Terry
Okay, everyone, by the clock in the back of the room, it appears to be 6:30. Welcome to the second meeting of the City Council. This is a special agenda, North Platte City Council meeting here Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 at 6:30. This meeting is a statutory requirement of the state of Nebraska to go over the budget, and we'll have some great presentation. But first, I'm going to call the meeting to order officially. And we will have a roll call, please.
Here.
Tryon. Here. Bowles.
Here.
Lucas.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
Baker. Wood.
Thank you. Open Meetings Act. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the state of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the city council chambers. No formal vote or action will be taken at this meeting. I repeat, no formal vote or action will be taken at this meeting. This is a public hearing. We will begin by having a presentation from Dawn here in just a moment. Council, just so you know, ordinance number 4072, which would contemplate the approval of this budget, is included in your packet just for reference only. We'll not be addressing the ordinance until our meeting on Thursday night. This is a public hearing, so council, please absorb the information that Dawn is going to give us tonight. You're welcome to ask a question if you want to, but the true debate on this will actually occur on Thursday night. So this is really the public's opportunity to speak or ask questions, make comments, that sort of thing. So, okay, that being said, Dawn, it's all you.
Mayor Kelleher, members of the City Council and the community, in accordance with LB 148, passed by the Nebraska Legislature in 2020, we are holding tonight's public budget hearing separately from any regularly scheduled meeting. We have 3 copies of the 2021-2022 proposed budget available on the end of the council table for the public. And we are providing this presentation outlining key budget provisions in the budget being proposed. We laid out 3 provisions to include, number 1, establishing a general fund cash reserve. Number 2, allocating the Keno transfer to the general fund. And number 3, proposing a cost of living adjustment in 2 tranches of 2% on October 1st of 2021 and 1.5% on June 1st, 2022. For item number 1, a general fund cash reserve of $3,308,994 is reflected in this year's budget. The amount reflects approximately 10.1% of the budgeted general fund expenditures of $32.8 million. The auditors have previously recommended the establishment of a general fund cash reserve, and thanks to the direction of the City Council, administration, and diligence of all city departments to control expenditures, we are pleased to present a budget which includes a cash reserve that represents 1.2 months of general fund operating expenditures. Auditors have recommended 4 months for the city, so we will continue to work to increase the cash reserve through future budget processes. This budget also includes allocating 100% of the Keno proceeds to the general fund as a result of the golf course closure. A transfer of $191,759 is budgeted for 21-22 compared to the $100,000 in the 2021 budget. And the third key budget provision is that this budget proposes a cost of living adjustment of 2%, which would be effective October 1st, and an additional 1.5%, which would be effective June 1st of 2022 for all city employees. This slide represents a graphical depiction of the budgeted revenues for the general fund in the total amount of $36,113,981. This exceeds the 2021 budget total of $31,591,825 by approximately $4.5 million, most of which is contained in the beginning cash balance figure. The pie chart illustrates the proportion of the total that each of the various revenue categories comprise. For instance, the medium bluish purple section is for sales tax, which represents $8.1 million or 22.4% of the general fund revenues. A summary that contains both the 2021 and the 2022 budgeted revenues can be found on page 15 of the budget. Slide 4 provides a breakdown of the 2022 budgeted general fund expenditures totaling $32,804,987 by department. This amount exceeds 2021's budgeted expenditures of $31,591,825 by approximately $1.2 million. This slide illustrates that the budgets of the city's three largest departments, police, fire, and public service, make up nearly 3/4, or 73.1% of the general fund. And again, a summary containing both the 2021 and 2022 budgeted expenditures can be found on page 21 of the budget. Slide 5 compares the city's total 21-22 budget with that of 20 and 21 by fund type. The total expenditures shown in the darkened line about 2/3 down the page reflect a reduction of $13,437,389, which is 9.15% below 2021's budget. The majority of this change in the Assessments and Debt Services Fund is a result of the bond financing activities that the city completed earlier this year. So that makes up the majority of the reduction that's referenced on this slide. Excuse me. Slide number 6 compares the city's proposed mill levy with the current 2021 levy. The total levy being proposed reflects a decrease of 4.7 cents or 47 cents per $100 of valuation. This reduction is a result of the city's total property tax asking remaining the same, and the city's valuation increasing by just over 0.1%. From $1,618,995,929 to $1,620,716,984, which is 10.106%. So just over 0.1%. Therefore, the amount of tax is being, let's back up and clarify that. The very same amount of tax is being collected over a larger base or valuation, thus decreasing the rate or the mill levy. Slide number 7 provides the city's mill levy being proposed for 21-22 of 44.2224 cents per $100 of valuation to the previous 8 years. In reviewing levies back to actually 2004-2005, I find this levy being the lowest one that has been proposed since that time frame. And again, this history reflects 8 years, but we do date back to 2004-2005 with the proposed levy being the lowest. Thank you for your time and attention this evening and for all of your efforts and interest relative to the city's budget process. And what questions do you have? Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing, just reminding everyone, anyone from the public who has any questions is welcome to approach the mic and ask your question or make your comment, whichever you prefer. Since this is a statutory requirement, we're actually going to sit here for a minute if no one comes to the microphone, which we have about 45 seconds. Well, it seems appropriate in case someone walks in late. And 30 seconds. And 15 seconds. Okay. It would appear that the public does not have any comments to make at this time.
I move we close the public hearing.
Okay. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Bowles, second by Mr. Garrick. Don't have the voting up there. If you're in favor of closing the public hearing, please raise your right hand. It would appear the yeas have it. Okay. Public hearing is now closed. We have no further business in this meeting according to the agenda, therefore the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Actually, he said those would be addressed next time.
Nothing to lost.
I have to wait. Geez, I got all knotted up for nothing.